in the heart of Beer City, USA. Two men, one journey, to create a sports show unlike any other. Unfiltered, raw, and honest. One of them played a soccer goalie opposite Ben Stiller. The other once scored 6 points on Steph Curry. These guys know their shit.
Let's go!
Tank Spencer, Jeremy Greene, The Sportsocracy. Presented by Ingles Supermarkets. Low prices, love the savings. And Fred Anderson Nissan of Asheville.
Talking about the least improved teams in the NFL, Jeremy, is there one that has just run away with it? Do you have one that's just worse than they could ever possibly have imagined?
And now this one I did kind of the same way. Who do I look at now as much less of a threat to be an actual contender than I did before?
Okay.
And so for me, yeah, there's one that has run away. Mm-hmm. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
The loss of Amari Cooper, the loss of pieces on the offensive line, I can understand. They would be in that category for you.
Here's my question. What did this team get better at? Where across this entire roster are you better than you were a year ago?
I can't answer that question.
Oh, I mean, even if you go, well, Tyler Smith, he's a great rookie and everybody loves him and he's playing guard. Okay. You replace Connor Williams, who, yes, he was penalized a lot, but he was a pretty steady force. Mm-hmm. And Lyle Collins turned into Terrence Steele. Nope, that's not an improvement.
Nope.
Pass rushers, you replaced Randy Gregory with Dante Fowler.
Ooh.
I mean, trusting Dante Fowler is kind of like knowing things about the Clintons. Mm-hmm. It does not tend to end well for you.
Wide receiver, Amari Cooper's gone, and you brought in James Washington?
Woo.
Yay!
And Jalen Tolbert.
All right. You know, they weren't on my original list, but you have convinced me. Dallas Cowboys fall into that category.
The Cowboys are just the one that I look at and go, I have been burned by this team a lot. All right, I have routinely said they're very talented, but then when they signed the Dak deal, the atrophy's coming. And it came fast. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just look at how many pieces they're missing. I thought this would be the year that CeeDee Lamb would pass Amari Cooper as the true one. But having Cooper on the other side would be very beneficial to him to get him used to number one coverage, because I thought he was better than Amari Cooper last year from a talent standpoint. Problem is he didn't get number one coverage as often as you would want for a guy that is now going to be the unquestioned, no doubt, number one weapon in this offense.
Dallas Cowboys on the board as one of the least improved teams in the NFL this offseason. I took this to mean more literally of who is just drastically worse than they were last year. And it starts to me with two teams, and they both lost their quarterbacks. One of them is the Atlanta Falcons, because obviously Matty Ice is gone and Calvin Ridley was dumb. Betted on football, and now he's suspended for a year. You just got infinitely worse than you were last year, and you weren't a great team to begin with. So this isn't about a championship window closing or a contender closing or anything like that. To me, it's just they are the worst team in the NFL, possibly.
Chicago Bears would love a word.
Agreed. They're on my list too.
Well, my thing with Chicago, with Atlanta, I don't think they're drastically worse. That team wasn't good in the first place. Mm-hmm. He wasn't good with Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
How much worse do you actually think they're going to be now?
Number one pick. They're number one pick level.
And see, I don't really see that.
To me, it's a discussion between three teams.
Seattle Seahawks, Chicago Bears. End of message.
Atlanta Falcons.
And see, I don't see Atlanta down because you have two threats at quarterback.
The threats.
You have Mariota that's comfortable in this system, and Desmond Ridder, whose ceiling is being what Marcus Mariota was supposed to be. I have seen Arthur Smith put together a cognitive offense with less. I mean, Drake London's an improvement over any receiver that played on this team last year.
Yeah.
And it's not even close to me.
I mean, except for Calvin.
Who played an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then got upset and left and apparently developed a gambling habit.
Right.
I just don't see a drastic drop-off there. I liked a lot of what they did in the draft. They had some good young pieces. I just don't see Atlanta that way. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. I can see a path that Atlanta looks at this offseason and goes, this was the start of something. I could see Desmond Ridder being the quarterback of the future there. Matt Ryan did not fit what this team wanted to do in the least.
Mm-hmm.
They got the pick for him, moved on. You're not going to be good, but I don't think you're drastically worse than you were last year.
My other least improved, are at the top of the list of least improved.
This one I could probably agree with you
is the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, that one I'll agree with.
The Seattle Seahawks lose Russell Wilson, and you've created all of, or maybe you didn't create it, but you've just had all of this drama with DK Metcalf. Does he want to be here? Does he not want to be here? Are we trading him, or are we not going to trade him? Are we going to pay him, or are we not going to pay him? All of this stuff. And what do you have left around those two things? Minus Russ, drama with DK, and then there's nothing else we're talking about with this team. You got Chris Carson, who's not going to play ever again, apparently.
Yeah, his neck does not look good.
And that's not good, and I'm not saying that's their fault as an organization or anything like that. I'm just saying, I mean, that's one of those breaks that an NFL team doesn't want.
And you lost DJ Reed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you lost pieces, and you added things back that I like.
I don't even really care about that.
You should. He was one of the top 10 corners in the league, and guess who he plays for now? My 2027
I knew he'd swing it
Super
away.
Bowl champion New York Jets.
I knew he'd find a way to swing that back to his favor. But look, I mean, this was a bad defense anyway. So the loss of DJ Reed obviously is going to hurt, but they were bad anyway.
And I agree. I'm just, you can't go from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith and Drew Lock dueling it out.
100%.
But I never saw them as a threat anyway. I've been off the Seahawk bandwagon for years.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see you as a threat. You have an aging coach that has a very antiquated way of playing defense that doesn't seem to be ready to conform, and for whatever reason, you're not ready to have the divorce. That's just a team that's in neutral to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't like anything that they've – I shouldn't say that. I like a couple of the pieces they've added. They're long-term plays. And they're sitting around going, hey, which one of those quarterbacks are we going to like the most next year? Because the two teams that are going to be competing with us the most already have young quarterbacks they like.
Right. I know you're going to get mad at me for this. You're going to get mad at me for saying this. But one of the least improved teams this year, it's Green Bay. Because of the absence of Devontae Adams. And to me, it's look. Do I still trust Aaron Rodgers? Are they still atop the NFC and the power rankings and all of that? Yes, absolutely they are. But we need to think about things that teams lost this year.
I can't figure out how you say the Green Bay Packers before you say the Kansas City Chiefs.
No. I'm not putting them like they're. This is not more or least improved. This is just. Because we've talked about the Kansas City Chiefs. We've talked about the Kansas City Chiefs taking a step back. I'm just, Green Bay.
And see, I can't agree with you.
They deserve an honorable mention.
And see, I can't agree with you. They lost one player. They lost. Now, granted,
lost
it's a great
Smith
player.
Too.
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, you still have Preston Smith and you got Rashawn Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Za'Darius, it's been real. It's been fun, but it ain't been real fun.
Right.
I think there is a path that Green Bay has the best defense in the NFL.
Possibly.
It is virtually impossible for me to look at that and go, you belong on the least improved. No, This team's good. This team's drafted well. I know they haven't prioritized wide receiver, but that kind of falls in line. You traded a wide receiver for 2 1s and 2 2s. A win.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. You got fair market value. Now, if Devontae Adams had just walked out the door, now I have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I've said this with Green Bay. I think that receiving core is still dynamic. Now, you're going to have to get exponentially more creative because now you don't have the guy that one-on-one can take on your number one corner, consistently win, but I still got Aaron Rodgers. So I'm just not overly worried about that.
But did they improve their chances of winning a Super Bowl this offseason?
You're not going to like my answer.
I'm not if it's going to be yes.
It's yes.
Stop that.
That defense is really, really, really good.
Well, they were good last year.
Not like this. You got Eric Stokes coming into his own. I'm telling you right now, anybody around that team, the first name they say is Eric Stokes.
Mm-hmm.
There are people around that team that think he's going to be better than Jair Alexander. Now, to me, that just sounds insane. But it tells me a lot when we get to this period. And anytime I talk to a beat writer or a podcaster or anybody that knows that team better than I do, and that's the first name they say, he's going to be really good. And that was one of the only drawbacks I had of them in the first place.
Mm-hmm. I can remember last year when we were talking about this Green Bay Packers team, and I kept saying Eric Stokes' name, and you kept he's a rookie. I told you he was good.
Well, rookie corners always make me nervous, and I tend to be right.
Sure. I'm not saying I called my shot on this thing because I think if he does become better than Jair Alexander, he will have exceeded my expectations for his NFL career. But I don't see where they got that much better. And the fact that they lost Devontae Adams, I think their Super Bowl chances took a hit. Now, could they win one? Absolutely.
And see, I don't really agree with you.
Okay.
I'm looking at, so you're talking about the subtraction of Devontae Adams.
Yes.
I could argue the addition of David Bakhtiari is every bit as important, if not more so. Played one game last year in the regular season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got him back. Are you healthy? Okay, let's ride. I got plenty of guys that can do things with the ball in their hand once they get it there. Now, how I'm going to get it to you, that's going to be a little dicey.
Right.
I'm going to have to figure out how to generate your touches. But there's another team that I just feel like took a significant step back. And after the break, I'll tell you who that is.
You're in the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville. All right, we got one more least improved team in the 2022 NFL offseason to get to before the SportsCenter update at the top of the hour here.
Where I gristle at your Packers least improved, I don't feel like you can say them without saying the Kansas City Chiefs.
Agreed.
Because I feel like Green Bay's better at everything than Kansas City is. I didn't have either one of them on my list. And I've said I'm not nearly as in love with Kansas City as I was.
I would say everything except for the weapons. I still believe Kansas City's weapons are better in the passing game. Not running the ball, obviously.
I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, you have Travis Kelce and then a bunch of dudes. You're counting on the TikTok Prince Juju Smith-Schuster to be your guy.
It's resurgence.
I'm not sure about that.
He's better than Sammy.
Yeah, he is.
And right now, I'll take Mecole Hardman over Christian Watson.
I don't know that I agree with you there.
Okay, all right.
I don't know that I agree with you there. I feel like you have this impression that Christian Watson has like 10 thumbs and he's scared of footballs and one gets thrown his way and he just bats it to the groround.
Maybe he will.
That's not exactly how that's going to go.
You don't know.
There's one team that I just feel like has taken a great regression, and it's been death by 1,000 paper cuts. You lose guys that know the system, whether they're coaches, whether they're players, and now you're left with this team that I don't really see what it is that you do well. And it's the New England Patriots. Mm-hmm. Bill's defense is predicated on good play in the secondary. Your one is probably Jalen Mills. Now, we'll tell you this, and this is an olive branch to Patriots fans. I always feel like if I take a dig at New England, I have to say something nice. You remember when we were coming through the draft process and I said New England was just drunk in love on Jack Jones and somehow he was going to wind up there?
Yep.
Yeah, he may be the second starter for this team. I've heard that from two different places, that he was the guy that just jumped off the page. Like, he is really, really talented.
Okay.
But I look at that defense and go, with Mac Jones, I get that they're going to be able to run the ball. My fear is that the defense is not going to be able to put the fear in teams that it used to. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to be a grinded out, throw the ball 27 times a game, less challenges down the field because that's not really what Mac Jones does when you're not just an oppressive defense. And I'm not telling you I think this defense will be bad. I just don't think they do anything overly well. Like, tell me something they do without saying Matthew Judon's name that they do really well.
I mean, they don't give up the run that much. Christian Barmore is a hell of a defensive tackle.
He's
run
fine.
Stuffer.
He's fine. He's fine.
But again, he's in that Belichick stride of.
And see, my problem
I
there
got
is
you to do a job. You need to do the job, and guess what? This guy does the job.
And see, my problem with that is that then I look at the offensive or the defensive backfield and just go, you don't have that guy you can count on. You line up against Buffalo, you got Stephon Diggs. You line up against Miami, you got Tyreek Hill. You line up against the Jets, you got, I'm going to say Elijah Moore, but the more I hear things out of New York, the more I'm thinking it might be Garrett Wilson. Mm-hmm. Who stops that guy? That's what Bill has always done. Take away what you want to do. I don't know that he has the horses to do that anymore.
He doesn't.
And it completely changes all of the Belichickian ways.
He used to have Stephon Gilmore. He used to have J.C. Jackson. And now if you're counting on Jalen Mills to be that guy, we've seen he's not that guy.
And look, I think there are young pieces. I do, as I said, I do like Jack Jones. I like Marcus Jones coming out of the slot. I just feel like this is the convocation of you have drafted so poorly for so long. that you don't have that next man up. Your next man up is like a high-level USFL, low-level practice squad player, and now you're going to be counting on some of those guys in important positions.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I hate most about the New England Patriots offseason is you go, let's start with the best addition of the offseason for this team.
Devontae Parker.
Thanks and good night.